Our question this time concerns the tribulation. We've had someone ask, well, what about the tribulation? Has the tribulation already taken place, that great tribulation referenced in the Bible, or is it yet to come? Well, whenever we open up our Bibles, what we find is the reference made to a tribulation, a time of hardship and a time of pain, suffering, and all of that taking place. But in fact, it has already happened. You know, sometimes people look into the Bible and they look at things written there as if it's still yet in the future sometime. And yet what we find is that in fact it's already occurred. In Matthew chapter 24, we see reference made to this time of tribulation and hardship and anguish and all of this, as the people here, the apostles, have come out and asking him about the temple. And Jesus said, there shall not be one stone left upon another that will not be thrown down. Matthew 24 and verse 2. And as they looked around, they said, tell us when this is going to be. Tell us when the end of the world is going to be, so far as that's concerned. And in their minds, to destroy the temple was tantamount to the end of the world itself. As you continue reading Matthew 24, Jesus talks about what's going to happen at the destruction of Jerusalem. He goes on at the latter part of Matthew 24 to speak about the end of the world, the actual end of the world itself. But from Matthew chapter 24, beginning in verse 1, down to about verse 34, Jesus is talking about this tribulation time period that was going to take place around 70 A.D. And a lot of times folks read Matthew 24 and they begin to look at this and they read about earthquakes and rumors of wars and different things and all that, and they think that that's going on right now. Well, as if that's indicators of something yet to come. No, it's not. It's not indicators of something yet to come. Rather, what is going on is he's talking about what was going to happen in AD 70. 70 AD, when Titus came down, and history tells us he came down, he laid siege to Jerusalem, and here was Titus who finally comes in, responsible for the destruction of the temple that Jesus promised in Matthew 24, and in fact did not leave one stone upon another. In fact, Josephus tells us not only did he tear the temple down, but there we find in 70 AD the Roman soldiers went and pried up the very foundation stones of the temple itself. There was not one stone left upon another. It was completely, utterly destroyed. 70 AD. The records containing the genealogies of the Jewish people were forever destroyed in great fire. All those things are gone. All those things happen here. When he talked about wars and rumors of wars and all of that, he's talking about what was going to happen then. As you read Matthew 24, Jesus says that you ought to pray, like verse 20, pray that your flight be not in winter. Well, if this has reference to, as some have claimed, the end of the world, then what does it matter when the season is? But when it's AD 70, okay, then it does matter. Pray that your flight be not on the Sabbath. Why? Well, because in Jerusalem the gates were closed on the Sabbath day. Remember that all the way back in Nehemiah's day. The rule was to close the gates on the Sabbath day. And that's exactly what happened. He said, you better hope that when all this comes down, it's not on the Sabbath day, because you will be locked in. That's the point. If it's the end of the world, what does it matter if there's a gate closed or open? And in fact, you go to Jerusalem today and they don't have a gate to shut anyways. You see, what Jesus was talking about in this tribulation time period is not something that's yet to come. It is something that already happened in 70 AD. And I know this again because Jesus said that this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Matthew 24 verse 34. This generation shall not pass until it is all fulfilled. Well, that tells us a few things. Either Jesus told the truth and it happened in 70 AD, which makes perfect sense. Jesus is speaking around 30 AD, and so some 40 years later and it's still going on, and that's when it happened. So the generation would still be alive. Jesus lied, or it is that he messed up and there's 2,000-year-old people running around right now. I don't know about you, but I take the first option. Jesus told the truth. That generation saw the destruction that took place. That tribulation happened in AD 7.